guys, Tam Wrigley here, editor of Profile Magazine, and we are back with another Fearless Feminine Founder series for Profile TV. And today we have the amazing Bonnie Kelly on the show. Look, I just want to give you a little bit of a bio because it's pretty impressive. But Bonnie is a speaker, author, and coach on a mission to spark emotional revolution in the world of change, to change the way people think and feel. She is the founder of Rebels for Joy, which is a movement created to helping women align their purpose, passion, and power, all fueled by joy.
Yes.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
You've got a little friend coming in the back there, but
that's perfect.
How did it all begin for you? Take us back to your, I guess, childhood and your upbringing.
Yeah. So I was a child of a broken home. So for me, we were abandoned by my real father when I was very young. And as a result, it created a lot of hardship. So my parents went through a real ugly divorce. But as a kid, we didn't know what was going on. All we knew was that there was a lot of conflict. Daddy was gone. We had to refer to him as Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody doesn't love us anymore. So there's a lot of a psychological hardship that came with that separation. It came with that, with their divorce. So flash forward, my mother got remarried. There was a lot of just inward fighting that was happening in the house that led then, to a lot of outward fighting. We then also had a point where I became sexually abused as a child. Mm-hmm. And then when that came out, it just led to a lot of toxicity. So if you can imagine when you're asking about my upbringing, there's a lot of dysfunction in my past.
Is it because of those incidences in your life that drove you or, took you down this path of enlightenment and feminine power and teaching women to overcome their own insecurities and find joy?
Yeah. Actually, I was down the path originally to be selfish, to be honest, right? I was on such a mission to learn how to be a normal human being because I had spent so much of my life just shrouded with self-hatred, with dysfunction, a lot of these different traumas, from the physical abuse, sexual abuse, the mental abuse, led to a lot of self-deprecating thoughts of, I hate myself, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, which is so far detached from the trueness of who we are, is that worthy, whole, and complete, regardless on who loves us, and regardless on what we experience, and regardless on where we come from. But all those conditioned thoughts programmed me in a way that was playing out in my adult behavior. So I was in very dysfunctional relationships. I was, in very dead-end jobs. I was broke and repeating all these toxic cycles. So I originally started on this journey to learn how to really heal my own world. Because I would see, I would be driving past a park and I would see these people just lounging and laughing, and internally just cringe because I didn't understand how they could just be so joyous and carefree. And I longed for it. I desired it so much. Mm-hmm. And so what ended up happening is that once I healed my life, I got to this place where I realized that normal people, forgive my dog marching around, these guys normally don't come home until 3:30. I'm a motherpreneur. Right? So these guys normally don't come home till 3:30 and they're all trouncing around, my niece and nephew, the whole 9 yards. I'm like, and chaos.
Yes, it brings the realness.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, and chaos. This is my life. So once I got to normal, I realized that normal people were actually suffering quite a bit. Mm-hmm. This whole, I'm fine, I've got it, I'm good mentality of mediocrity was just rampant in every successful and every business owner and entrepreneur, every woman that I met. And it was really in that moment that I was like, no more. I need to learn how to be extraordinary. So now I can bring other women to this new plane, this new platform, this new vibrational state that allows all of us to just get real with the feeling state that we're in and say like, no, I'm going to make joy a standard of living, period.
Yeah. At what point then, you've gone through it yourself and then you're going, okay, this is something that I really need to and want to teach women. Why do you think women have this persona of they've got to be fine, but really they're crumbling behind closed doors?
It will always boil down to worth, right? Is that we don't We're afraid of what other people are going to think about us. We're afraid that if we don't have it together, people are going to leave us. We're afraid that we're going to be abandoned, or we're going to be taken advantage of, or that we're just not going to be liked or loved. And so we put on these fronts. We put on this fake persona of saying that I've got it, I'm fine, all is good, to try to feel accepted. And we just miserable as a result of it.
Mm-hmm. Walk me through then, you're starting your business. So you've gone through your trauma, and you've come out the other side and going, I really want to teach this to other women. So how did you get into the industry and the field? And how did it all, start? Like your first 5 years in business is often the hardest.
Yeah.
Through that one.
I'm laughing hysterically. So, cause I originally started as an entrepreneur in the real estate world. So when I was teaching real estate, not teaching, I'm sorry, I was working in the real estate world. I was just developed a really successful business there. And it was on top of my game. I knew, like, deep down inside, so we're talking about wearing a mask, right? I had not come out of the personal development closet. Nobody knew I had been studying it. I didn't want anybody to know that I was still feeling broken. Like, right. I was like, really the persona of who I teach now. And so when the day came that I knew it was like, I'm meant for something bigger than this, right? Something more. The money is not my driving force anymore. I Googled what an inspirational, motivational career was.
Yeah.
And a coach came up, and I was like, oh, I could make money at inspiring people. And so that really was what led me down the road. I started doing a lot of research into this industry, and I just kind of stumbled into it. And then I knew I was going to be an author, and yeah, so that's the fun, true story.
Yeah. So tell us what it's been some of the hardest aspects of starting your own business.
Yeah, I would say the hardest aspect is information overload. I think was probably one of the biggest things that I struggled with is everybody, especially when you're new to an industry, when you're starting something completely different than what you're normally used to, is everybody's an expert, and everybody's got a product and advice, and everybody's got something, that's going to get you to the next level and help you with this. And, as I found that I kept giving my power away quite a bit. It's like, oh, well, they know more than I do, I need to go hire them. And, oh, they know more than I do. Now, don't get me wrong. That was a lot of awesome education that a lot of elements have helped develop and shape the business that I do now. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that the energy behind it is what I think I would have, if I could go back in a time machine, change, right? Whereas like really just standing in the, okay, what are my strengths? What am I really great on? And where can I stay in my zone of excellence? Because what I was doing is that I was like steering into other people's zones of excellence and allowing that to be a driving force. And I got very distracted for quite a while in my business.
So was there a time in your business where you went, oh, this is just all too hard, or somebody's doing it better, or somebody, because I think we all look at other people's achievements and other people's success, and that self-doubt and self-sabotage comes into your own world. Was there a time where you just went, oh, this is just too hard? And
oh my gosh, like if we're being transparent, yes. And it hasn't just been one time, it's been many, many times that has come in. We actually say that comparison is one of the largest joy thieves that will rob you of your joy. We teach that a lot in Rebels University. And that is where we are giving, again, our power away. We're saying that, okay, well, you know more me, you're better than me, I'm less than you, oh, woe is me. We sink into this victim state, and then it fuels behaviors. And those behaviors of, procrastination, avoidance, self-doubt, insecurity, fear, whatever it is that is starting to manifest, that's the result. And so, yeah, I mean, I have got sucked into that rabbit hole a handful of times. And the one that probably stands out the most for me was when I chose to be a mother. So not only was I a woman entrepreneur, and that was my baby. And then all of a sudden I had a baby. And that was like where everything kind of just came. I had to pull the throttle back, right? Because I went into labor, I had a baby, I'm nursing a baby, I'm not traveling, and watching everyone else still fly by the seat of their pants, and then feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. Like I'm 500 miles behind myself, was probably the biggest one. And oh God, I wanted to quit like 5,000 times.
what was it that brought you out then? So what was it that you did, or was there like a aha moment where it sort of pulled you out
Yeah.
of the funk?
Yeah. I think the big aha was realizing that postpartum is a real thing. Postpartum depression is a real thing. Recognizing that there was some elements of that. I mean, being a high functioning person, I would function my way out of it, thinking that I was fine, and really just not recognizing that it was like, okay, wait a minute, like there is a lot of this hormonal. I was going through an identity crisis, right? That's the truth of what it was. That's the underlining. I was going through this identity crisis of thinking that, okay, I'm going to have so much more and better than, and really just being, feeling a little bit less than in that moment. And re-looking at those wounds again. So what helped me get out of it was to connect the dots of like, where is this coming from and what is the purpose it serves,
Mm.
right? So where's it coming from? For me, it was coming from all of the old traumas. Okay, what is the purpose it's serving? Is that the purpose it's serving right now is that I've never done business and mom, to owning that I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, are there people who do? Yes. Have there women that are super successful and so figure that? Yes. Okay, can I do this too? Yes. And I need help.
Yeah.
And hired a nanny.
You do, as you do. So tell us the Rebel Academy and what you teach women.
Yeah. So Rebels University is our big year-long program, right? That is probably the biggest thing that we teach. We also have like 6-week Wake and Joy. We have a lot of really cool products, but the baseline of it is that we align your purpose, passion, and power, because the 3 Ps are the most important elements to lasting joy. So if making joy is the standard that you want to live by, is to first recognize that we need to get some clarity around what is your purpose. And when I say purpose, this is where all of us have to go through our own individual identity crisis, because we put a lot of our purpose outwards on outer things, our children, our work, all of these things. And so your purpose can get robbed of you in a lot of different dimensions. So we want to kind of clear the story around that. Passion is that we want to really kind of reignite these emotions that have laid dormant, and or a lot of the emotions that you just kind of have dismissed because you're too busy people pleasing and taking care of everybody else, right? That everybody else's needs, wants, and desires matter than yours. And then personal power. And the personal power, the last P, is probably the one we spend more time than anything else, because it's helping you recognize that you have a choice in your joy. A lot of us are waiting for joy to happen versus consciously cultivating it. And so we pull your power back. Yep. We help you really stand back into your worth, know that you're enough, really anchor that in, unravel the old story that's associated around it, really get you in this position that you know, like, and trust yourself to every dimension and degree, so you can go have the success in whatever it is that you decide to do. So whether that's in business, whether that as stay-at-home mom, whether that is a teacher, whatever that is, or whatever that looks like for you, is that you have the confidence and you have the know-how, and your worth will not be on the line through any of it.
Do you think people look for their purpose and their power and their joy from other people except themselves? Yes. Sort of like, why aren't you giving it to me, instead of like looking internally?
Yeah. And that's one of the bigger joy thieves, right? Is that we talk about 9 joy thieves quite a bit. And when we are we're putting our worth on the line, where it's that we want other people to like us. So we are wearing these different masks. We are people pleasing. We're behaving in ways. We are sacrificing our needs and wants. We are, especially women. I mean, I'm really talking more to women. I mean, men do this as well, but it's really, truly, this is something that we suffer from tremendously. And it's not anything anyone's doing to us. It's really what we're doing to ourselves, because we think that this is expected or how we're supposed to be. And it's like our responsibility to be all of these dimensions. And so, yeah, I do believe that, we really have to pull that power back and really anchor ourselves in a way that we can weather all storms.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. What have been some of your champion moments or your highs about starting your own business and teaching women like you do?
Yes, actually, what's funny, I don't know if you, I answered this question and I was like, I don't know how to answer this. There's been so many massive victories, and they're really relevant to me, right? Because I mean, I've been on stage in front of thousands of people, which is an amazing victory. I have a best-selling, Amazon best-selling book, which is amazing victory. I am a mother, which is amazing victory, right? Like, it's hard to really say like what I feel like all the time. It's like every time I try something new, and whether I fail or succeed at it, it's like it's a new victory. It's a new dimension of myself that's unfolding. Since becoming a mother, I have now really anchored in this feminine, nurturing energy that really wasn't as rampant as it is now in my business.
Mm.
And to me, that's a massive victory, right? To not have this masculine energy be so dominating in all of my decisions.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know, the students that we have, the people that have radically changed their life as a direct impact of the stuff we've done. I don't know. I can't answer that one. It's all good.
You mentioned before, you're a mum now and you've got beautiful children. So how do you, as um, a best-selling author, you run an amazing company, you're a mum, you work in the business, on the business, in the company. How do you do it all?
Yeah. You don't. You hire people. That's the answer, right? Is you have to let go of control. If you are trying to control every aspect, you're going to work 80, 90 hours a week. You're never going to have freedom. You're never going to have fun. Oh my gosh, the big F word, fun, right? Is because everything will be so serious and you're going to be taking everything so seriously. So what absolutely is required is that we have to be willing to let go of that and to advocate and ask for support and help in a lot of dimensions. I mean, again, when we talk about staying in your zone of excellence, for me, details is not my zone, right? Details is not my zone. My zone of excellence is speaking, content creation, being interviewed, podcast writing, like that's my stuff, right? Getting bogged down with having to reply to 700 emails and fill out 600, forms for every podcast and interview. It's work that somebody else could do. So it's support. That's it. And same thing even with my kiddos is that finding the right people that it's like, she's having more fun when she's not with me during those hours than if she's going to I'm torturing her while trying to run a business, so.
Mm. Do you believe that women can have it all? And if so, what does having it all mean to you?
Joy. Yeah. I think having it all is joy and happiness. That's period. Drop the mic. End of sentence. That's the end of it. Cause I think, having it all it's like Baskin Robbins. It's like many different flavors. And I don't know if you guys have those in Australia, but okay, good. So like 32 flavors, right? That means that everybody that's listening to this is going to have a different idea of what that looks like. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. So it really is just, at the end of the day, do you have joy? Mm. Do you have happiness? Because if you are at the end of your life and looking back, what are you going to regret more than anything? Mm. It's going to be not spending time with your children. It's going to be missing those years with your grandkids. It's going to be it's not going to be, making that extra $10,000, you know what I mean? Or 10 million or whatever it is.
People say regrets and it's like, I just wish I made another 100,000 a year, isn't it? It's like family, having time to yourself, travel.
Yes.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Who champions you?
Oh my gosh. I have some amazing women in my life that are huge champions of me. They were the ones initially kind of were a little shocked when I decided to shift gears and come out of the personal dev closet. But, they've been with me for 15 years or more. And just, watching the grow. And sometimes even when I'm feeling small or shrinking, they're the ones that are just like, dude, you're so good at this. You're so amazing. Like, keep going. Like, that failure doesn't define you. And, they remind me that it's like, Bonnie, this is something you'll regret. Like at the end of your day, it's like, if you look back on your life and didn't chase your dreams, that is going to be one of those things that you're going to say like, gosh, I really wish I would have helped more people.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, exactly. When it comes to business, tell us a little bit about your like 3 key factors to making your business successful.
Wish I would have wrote these ones down. Um, so the 3 key factors that make my business successful. I wrote really good stuff. Do you have them down?
Don't. I've just got the
I
question.
don't either. Okay, I wrote them. I had to write all of this stuff out in a profile. So that's okay. So 3 key factors that keep me successful. Number 1, I would say absolutely, it's always an inside job. So everything that I'm struggling with usually in the outward world, not enough clients, not enough money, not enough time, is that all of that is going to be directly connected to something that I believe or perceive. So I usually will do the inward check-in before I go hire outward help, which would be my second one, is that A, you can't do it alone. Or B, I guess it's B. You can't do it alone. You really do need a team. You need experts. You need other people to help kind of fill the holes that you don't even know that are there. The third one, gosh, I don't know the third one. What was the question again? I got sidebarred.
Business tips for success.
Tips for, yeah, so it's inside job, hire outside help, and stay in your zone. That would be my third one, right? So again, is we often want to do it all. We want to have our hands in everything, and it's very easy to get lost in a lot of that. To really sit down and ask yourself, what is my specialty? What am I great at? What brings me a tremendous amount of joy to do? Okay. When I sit down and I'm like in content creation or I'm building on a new program or something, like I am on a 12 of excitement. When it comes time for me to do taxes, it's like a -17, right? Like that's the feeling that I have doing that. So I hire a bookkeeper and a tax lady, right? Like duh. And not knowing your zone of excellence is going to keep you kind of doing those things versus really just saying like, wait a minute, I'm going to stay in my zone and hire other people in their zones.
Exactly. When it comes to business, tell us a little bit the lessons you learned early on about creating and starting your own business.
Yeah. Okay. So I think I mentioned one a little bit earlier. One of the bigger lessons really was this wavering away from my identity, where I would give other people more authority than my own. So I wasn't being very discerning with a lot of the information. So I was, as starting off in this industry, I was very new. I knew nothing about this personal development industry or to be a speaker, author, a coach. And, I would hire, these people would come in and like, oh, you know what you need to do is webinars. Okay, that's what I'm going to go do. Right. And so then I would go spend months building out these webinars. And it is so far from my zone of genius. Right. And it wasn't until a few years ago where I really kind of sat down and I really, planned out and said, okay, Bonnie, what are you great at? Speaking, writing books, right? Live events, teaching classes. Just do that, right? It's like you could make money doing that and not have to do yes, there are a lot of different ClickFunnels, opt-in, webinar, like all of these technical ways that you can make money. If that's not your zone of excellence, then stop trying to drive in someone else's lane. I think that was the biggest shift, and gave myself permission to just stay in my lane and be great there.
Perfect. What does female or feminine leadership mean to you?
Oh my gosh. I love this time that we're in. I feel so deeply blessed to be a woman in this era right now. To be in my late 30s, I still have so much more time to witness this, this shift in this movement that's happening. So for me, it's a responsibility. Right? It's a responsibility for my daughter. It's a responsibility for everyone else's sons and daughters. And I'm not just talking even on the feminine, because what it is it's our responsibility to balance out, to begin to advocate for equality in the business world, right? And it doesn't mean we're taking away or we're punishing or we're dominating the masculine, but society, life, business, has been for centuries has been masculine dominated, right? Like there's no question on that. So this is a huge new movement. And I feel so honored to be a part of that and to see watching it come through. So for me, it's everything. It's really saying, okay, we have to stand in our worth, right? It's not really taking or pushing, but it's just standing in our worth to sit at the table. That's it. And just say, I'm going to sit at the table and help shift and guide the direction that this next century is going to look like. Yep. Versus taking a passive approach. So to me, it's a responsibility.
Yep. That's my next thing. Hear the dogs going. Sorry about that.
Sure.
When it comes to, I guess many women of today I have forgotten that feminine power. Yes. And that self-worth, I think, too. So what would you say to them, and what would be some advice you'd give to them to get their power back?
Yeah, I love this. So you guys, this is something, like I just said, even for myself, is that I was very heavily in my masculine energy. And the reason for that is because that's just kind of part of that conditioned self, is kind of the societal, like our societal viewpoints. And we can get very lost in the hustle, the grind, the grit, the put your nose down, and we forget to flow and be in nurturing. And so where that comes to is, number one, again, take your worth out the line. Take it off the line, right? Stop putting it up for negotiation. Stop putting it out there for approval, right? This is like grounding and anchoring yourself in your worth, right? That's the first part. The other part of it then is to allow your intuition to guide the decisions versus just making decisions out of what you think. So it's really feeling into things. Does that make sense?
Sorry, dogs are going. They're like my alarm, my doorbell. I don't need a doorbell. I've got 2 dogs.
Yes.
So Bonnie, tell us a little bit, what the last word, let's wrap up the interview. What would be some last words of wisdom you can give our viewers?
Yeah. My last thing that I wanted to encourage everybody is to remind you all, okay, you only have one life. That's it. All right. Is that if you're going to live, let's say to 100 and you're in your 30s, you've got 70 years left to do some magic in this world, to leave a legacy, to leave a mark. And I believe that's right around 23,000 something days. Okay. Is that every day to remind yourself that today's my day. Today's my day to show up in my most authentic way. Because it's when we can show up in the brightest version of ourselves and the grandest versions of ourselves is where we will make the biggest impact in this world. So I strongly encourage each and every one of you to not allow fear, doubt, insecurities to continue to rule the show. Because at the end of the day, you do matter, and what you want to do in this world matters too. So let's do it, girl.
Yeah. Bonnie, thank you so much for joining us today on Profile TV. And I know a lot of our viewers are going to get a lot out of the conversation today. So thank you so much. And look, I know you're over in America and it's afternoon over there. Go and enjoy those beautiful babies.
I will. Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Bye.